Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because honestly, we've got a truly mind-bending journey lined up for you. We are going to take a deep dive into some wildly fascinating, deeply abstract source material. It's originally a stream of consciousness audio recording, but we are going to break it down and translate it into a concrete, structured theory of reality. We're going to explore how our minds basically operate like digital recorders, how we literally transmit our personalities across the universe through art, and how our day-to-day reality is ultimately shaped by the people watching us. So let's just dive right in and unravel this whole mystery together.
We have to start with this profound, kind of paradoxical question. What actually happens when a mind tries to observe itself? The speaker in our source material grapples with this right out of the gate. I mean, think about it. If you try to look at your own mind, you are essentially trying to look directly at your own feedback loop. The speaker compares this to pointing a video camera straight at its own monitor. You know what happens, right? You just get this infinite, chaotic visual feedback. You aren't actually seeing reality, you're just seeing the act of seeing. It's a totally dizzying concept, but it perfectly sets up the fundamental problem of human consciousness that our source is trying to unpack.
All right, let's move into Section 1, the internal mechanism, or what the speaker calls the gadget.
The speaker has this incredibly unique way of defining human memory and perception, introducing this whole idea of the gadget. According to the source, the mind functions almost exactly like a piece of internal technology. As we move through the material universe, touching things, seeing things, this gadget is always running. It records everything. It captures our interactions with the world in what the speaker literally calls pixel values. It's basically like your brain is a massive hard drive, storing very concrete, digital footage of your entire life. But, as we're about to see, having all this footage on demand is a serious double-edged sword.
And here is the core danger of the gadget. On one hand, you have the act of constantly replaying those past pixel values. The speaker warns that feeding past visual information back into your present consciousness creates intense, real-world instability. It's literally like a computer glitching out. You end up trapped in this mental prison cell made entirely of your own history. But the solution? Living completely in the present. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that separating from your past and anchoring yourself in the right now isn't just about finding peace of mind. According to the source, it literally increases your core ability to survive and evolve.
That brings us to Section 2, Art as Cosmic Light Signals.
This internal mechanism we just talked about, it builds into a fascinating linear path of communication. See, the speaker views art as much more than just a pretty picture or a catchy tune. It's an actual mechanism for cosmic transmission. First, you experience a profound emotion or event. Second, you convert those internal pixel values into a work of art. Third, you transmit that creation out into the universe like a literal light signal traveling through space. And then step 4, an audience receives it. But they don't just look at it, they actually download and absorb your exact emotional frequencies and personality. It completely changes how you look at why we create things.
But of course, reality hits. Sometimes you send out that magnificent light signal and it only gets maybe 10 or 20 views. The speaker notes this stark reality with a real touch of melancholy. Why does this happen? Well, the source material explains that the universe is just full of what they call blockages, or even black holes, spaces where light signals simply cannot penetrate. So, sometimes your transmitted personality only reaches a really finite, limited space purely because of these massive obstacles in the universe.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, the giant simulating machine.
The authentic voice of our source captures this perspective shift so perfectly. They say, "I see this universe now as a giant simulating machine in which if you produce thoughts on my consciousness, that acts as a simulation for me." This is a massive, game-changing idea. The speaker frames human consciousness as a shared matrix. We are all highly vulnerable to external scripts. When someone communicates with you, they are essentially projecting their thoughts directly into your machine, forcing your mind to simulate their reality.
Which leads us straight to this absolutely critical takeaway. The speaker leans heavily into these physics metaphors, stating that we live in a quantum world, where your universe depends entirely on who is observing you. Just the mere act of being watched forces you to conform to the expectations and desires of the watcher. If an observer expects you to fail or wants you to feel fear, their observation actually pushes your internal simulation toward that predestined reality. You are quite literally simulating the desires of the people watching you. No pressure, right?
And naturally, this leads to Section 4, the battle of observers.
Because there are massive dualities fighting for space in your mind every single day. You've got good observers. The speaker describes these as beings programmed with love, or what they term the Word of God. These observers actually guide your evolution and help you simulate a beautiful reality.
But on the flip side, we have the negative observers. These act as conscious enemies. They are the blockages. They possess powerful, evil attractions that, if you leave them unchecked, will forcefully hijack your reality and drag you into bizarre, unwanted simulations that you absolutely never asked for. It's a literal battle for the remote control of your mind.
Okay, so how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 5, Programming the Desired Reality.
It all starts by completely redefining a very common word, learning. In the context of our source material, learning has nothing to do with memorizing facts for a test. Learning is the dramatic, fundamental act of changing your behavior so you can actually evolve and survive. It is the conscious override of bad programming. If you're stuck in a negative simulation caused by hostile observers, the only way out is to learn, meaning you radically shift your personality so you are no longer a frequency match for their attacks.
And the speaker actually gives us a highly actionable, almost mathematical playbook to do this. To reclaim your own simulation, here's what you do. First, separate from past values. Stop playing those old pixel values. Second, make the present moment your only source of reality. Third, actively cancel those forced transactions with negative observers. You literally have to draw a hard boundary. Fourth, reprogram your mind with love, which the speaker repeatedly links to divine, spiritual principles. And finally, consciously choose your own destiny, rather than just acting out the script someone else handed to you.
Now, what anchors this incredibly abstract cosmic theory is the speaker's own deeply personal journey. They noted that 10 years of suffering actually equaled the catalyst for their evolution. The speaker endured a decade of isolation and negative observation, but instead of remaining a victim to it, they realized that this intense suffering was the exact catalyst that taught them how the universe's simulating machine actually works in the first place. The pain was the very thing that forced them to fundamentally change their behavior and evolve.
Which brings us right to this powerful concluding sentiment. The source states, God has given the humans the freedom to simulate. If I believe, if I have faith, then things are certainly going to manifest in the future. I just love that. It brilliantly illustrates that despite all the black holes, the negative observers, and those old past pixel values constantly trying to drag us down, human beings ultimately hold the remote. Through conscious faith and belief, we absolutely have the ultimate freedom to architect our own internal realities.
So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder today. If the universe truly is a giant simulating machine shaped by the people who observe us, whose script are you running right now? Are you actually simulating your own desires? Are you just acting out the fears and expectations of the negative observers in your life? I really hope this explainer inspires you to reevaluate the boundaries you set, the voices you let into your head, and the reality you actively choose to program for yourself. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep exploring.